Hello, good evening, and welcome to I was going to say the Fatback Four. It's not the Fatback Four. It's the midweek fix, and oh Jesus, what a week it's been for Liverpool! What a week it's been for Liverpool. Porto won. I'm making mistakes on these all the time. Right? I have Porto 1, Liverpool 3. I don't know why. It was Liverpool 5. We're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk definitely about Curtis Jones. We're going to talk about Man City game coming on Sunday, and we're going to actually talk about some winners and losers, as you know. And we really like doing that. This show is brought to you by Manscaped this week. Manscaped.com. Go there. Use LFC DT. And you will get 20% off and free shipping. Who have I got with me this week? Let me see. I have Jamie, I have Seany, and I have Conroy with me this week. Lads, how are we? Jamie, I'm going to come to you. Manscaped sponsoring us this week. Seany loves them. He gives the best feedback on Manscaped ever. But I was just about to... I just want to ask you a quick one, right? A quick one.
About my grooming habits.
No, not about your grooming habits. Not this week. We'll try it next week. But the Liverpool squad headed off to Porto during the week. Which player do you reckon is best suited to Manscaped when he heads away on a European trip?
Ooh, who's a manscaper? I'll be honest. You look at Big Verge. He's just so smooth, calm, and collected. He smells immaculate. We've been told by players that have come up against him. There's absolutely no way he's packing a big bush down there. He is sleek, sharp, and fresh as ever, without a shadow.
Fully clean shaven, do you think, Jimmy? Fully clean shaven.
100%, mate. 100%. No time for any of that messing down there.
Yeah, I think Verge is an absolute great show. I have to be honest with you. And I'm not going to ask Seany because he lists them off. He loves so many players in this squad, and he gives us details that will go beyond what we need at 10 o'clock. And look, he's thinking. I can see him thinking. Look, which fellow will I choose? But look,
did you take the plunge, Gav? Did you have a go? Or did you have a go?
Oh,
with the old
yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah, me, Seany, Grizz, and Keith went absolutely insane on it. Absolutely.
Gav, I won't say anything else, but don't even bother asking Conroy because the correct answer is Thiago. Move on.
All right, okay. And you mentioned Thiago.
That's a good shout.
Jamie gets all roiled up when you mentioned Thiago.
I've done enough about thinking of Thiago's flute, so I'm done for a while. Think of someone else.
Right, let's get into it. Of course, Liverpool went to Porto in the Champions League game week 2 and came away with a 5-1 emphatic win in Portugal last night. It was a brilliant result, and it leaves us on 6 points out of 6 in the group following that win at home to AC Milan at Anfield. And Seany, I'm going to come to you first because when you look at the lineup and when you look what he puts out, right? Is it a case of after what happened at the weekend, he's going, I'm putting these out and I'm basically making them go again?
Yeah, I think he actually alluded that to himself in the post match, saying that he just wanted to kind of get it out of the system, and they did really. I think that's what Klopp even said himself. I think they might have been watching the game the weekend because they did kind of start really direct, but we dealt far better with the threat. There was a massive difference for me last night that you could see the fact that Fabinho was on it, because when he was on it, there was no loose second balls. There was nothing for them to latch onto. He was just going around mopping everything up. So it was the Trent admission. It's pretty much what you'd expect. And to be honest with you, European away game, I have absolutely no issue with Milner going in there, because that's sort of what you need in these games, because it can be like going away in Europe. First 10 or 20 can be nervy because you're in these stadiums and they can be like cauldrons. I know last night was pretty quiet there, but
yeah,
they can make it difficult. And riding out the initial 10-15 minutes is always really important, and that's exactly what we did.
Kevin Ball says dominated them the whole game, needed that type of performance against City on Sunday, and we will get to that later, Kev. But Jamie, coming to you, we seen against AC Milan, he rests a couple of players, Virgil van Dijk probably being the biggest one. And when you see that 3-3 draw against Brentford, it was just a mad game at the weekend. You know, there was issues around us defensively. We're quite good going forward. We did miss chances, but I think it definitely affected his decision on the lineup last night. I think if we'd have beaten Brentford, I think he probably would have went in and changed a few more, but it was definitely a case of putting it right and just, putting the whole Brentford thing to bed, even though it was a draw. Do you know what I mean?
Particularly at centre back, I'd say. I thought you lads know that I talk about rhythm a lot, and off the back of the Brentford game, where I think it's fair to say we probably weren't at our best defensively, particularly the two lads at centre back were given a tough time. I think all they'll have wanted to do was get back out there and right the wrongs of the Brentford game. So I think that probably was the one area where you could have quite comfortably seen us rotate. I think Canate and Gomez came in and did well against Norwich. But given, I suppose, how that Brentford game played out and the fact that we've got City at the weekend, I think that probably played into Klopp's thinking and just said, right, Virgil, Joe, get yourself back out there, get yourself back into the right frame of mind, put in a good performance, and we'll go into City bouncing. And to be fair to them, I think they did. And the thing that I loved is when we conceded the late goal, I think there's a video going around, they were all absolutely fuming that they conceded a goal, even in the situation where we were comfortable in the game. They hate conceding goals, and that's the type of fire you want to see going in ahead of City.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just the frame of mind is huge. We've made a lot about City getting beaten by Paris Saint-Germain last night. And all right, it's early in their group, but they've still lost midweek, gone away. I'm not saying they got the run around. I think they had the majority possession and chances and stuff, but they still come back off a defeat and one that'll hurt away to PSG, whereas we've gone away and won. And any sort of edge you can get going into any game, regardless, I think is important. Conroy, the lads mentioned there about the lineup, Milner going in at right back, and keeping that centre half partnership from the weekend and the midfield and stuff like that. And for you going into it, was it one? Did you expect changes, or did you think, no, I think he's right in what he's doing here, or could you see anything different going to happen? Because, like I said, he made changes against AC Milan last week, the week before.
To be honest, Gav, before I done the kind of pre-match show, I did, when I saw the lineup though, it started to make a lot more sense. I know Jamie had mentioned in Klopp's pre-match, he mentioned rhythm, but I kind of took a step back after that show and thought, Liverpool drew 3-3 with Brentford, probably looked the most vulnerable they looked defensively for a long time. The full back four, and you can include Alisson in that, and he's probably thinking that if I chop and changes tonight and they have a great game, he's still going to start with a good chance at least 4 of that 5 against City. So he's probably thinking that the best thing to do was stick with that team last night. And it proved dividends. That's why he's one of the best managers in the world, because that's exactly what happened. I mean, I was very critical of Andrew Robertson. I thought that was his worst performance for Liverpool at the weekend. He couldn't do anything right. Everything he was getting wrong. He had the run, but these were like small snippets I thought as a game. And we all know I'm a massive Robbo fan. Always going to stick up for him, but he just wasn't good enough. And he was really sharp last night. I feel like I saw a few tweets, people were saying that he's heard the slander and he was going to try to prove a point last night. And it's not just Robbo, there's probably a few who are actually as good and probably better, but you just can tell he looked sharp last night as well. So the decision making was superb, because now we go to City, we've got our tails up, we're buzzing for that, and it looks like a few players, like you mentioned, Fabinho and that, Van Dijk, they look sharp after that now. And I can imagine if, say, Van Dijk had been rested, or maybe Tsimikas had came in, I did think Tsimikas would start, but then people will be, if he played well, they'd be wanting him to start at the weekend. So with that being the same back four, I feel like it does put us in really good stead for the Man City game. So I think it's outstanding management, and that's why we shouldn't try to overthink what he does, because he backs up a lot what he says. So yeah, the only one I was a little bit intrigued to watch, Gav, was the Milner one, to see how he'd get on against Luis Diaz, but within 10 minutes you're like, no bother, this will be fine. It did actually feel very similar to previous games against Porto, got to be honest. I think that's a bit poor. If they've not changed it in any way, and I thought they had this season. I'd heard rumours of that before the game.
Like what Conroy said, it was like Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
I was waiting for Bill Murray to knock on me door.
I know. And when you take your Liverpool hat off, you're like, see if you're actually a Porto fan, you'd actually be pulling your hair out. The same thing. They're just, they give us so much space.
They can't keep up with the intensity. That's what's wrong. I think they're technically very good. I think they're quite well organised and they've some good players. But the intensity Liverpool play at and keep turning up and playing them at, they can't keep up with it. And it's probably a reflection of how intense the games are probably in Portugal for them, because I read...
But they dominate the games in Portugal.
Well, that's the thing. But at their own pace. At their own pace. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I read something yesterday that they hadn't conceded a goal at home in all season or some ridiculous.
That was their first loss at home since Chelsea last year.
Portuguese league's a far cry from playing us, lads.
This is what I'm saying. It's the intensity of it, Sean. It's huge.
We don't really realise it now, but we're like, remember years ago when we went in the Champions League and you used to watch Bayern and Barca and Real? That's us now. That's the level of team that we are.
Yeah, so, no, absolutely.
Remember when if you're a neutral watching us now there's very few neutrals that we know that watch Liverpool. But if you're a neutral watching us now, like, we are one of those elite sides. Yeah. So like it's a different sport kind of when we go.
But do you not think there's other teams are more adaptable though, Shawnee? What I mean by that is I think Porto not playing to their hands as such, but they feel like they can't get out of that when the players.
You look for example there tonight against United, like a Villarreal, like they would have to dog it out a lot of weeks in, whereas Porto weren't used to that.
Yeah,
and not to go off point, but that's what actually ends up killing PSG in the latter stages of these tournaments, is that when they're playing meaningless league games in March, April, May, the intensity is not quite there for the knockout stages in the games, and that's what you see. Like, that's where the difference of quality comes in with Liverpool. And one thing that can make up for that is a packed stadium and a raucous atmosphere that can just act as sort of an equaliser, but they just aren't on their level. That's what we were talking last night before the game, and I said, I'll be bluntly honest in what I said. I said, lads, I'm not worried about all here. These are actually shy, and they are shy. It makes it, not to take away from Liverpool, but that they are shy compared to us.
Do you know what it is though as well though, Gav, just to jump in? The thing I think that we don't realise with Liverpool sometimes is the fear factor is absolutely back, but the way that we play, we're like a coiled spring. So you kind of lull teams into a false sense of security, whereas Porto are comfortable on the ball, and then all of a sudden, all it takes is one or two quick breakaways at the start of a game, and they go, holy shit, where did that just come from? And Liverpool have got runners, the red arrows up front, albeit now with Jota. The speed at which we break at, and there's a history of us absolutely spanking them before. Those type of things live long in the memory. So then all of a sudden, 10, 15 minutes into a game, they're more tentative with how they play. They don't want to make a mistake because they know we'll turn it over and be away quickly. And the fear factor, this is a Liverpool team now that looks like the Liverpool team of old, i.e. when we were basically winning everything. We have our spine back. We have our structure back. We break at speed. The pressing, which I'm sure we'll come on to at some point during the show, we're like rabid dogs again. We literally suffocate teams to the point that, you're playing away from home and teams can't get out. They literally have nowhere to go. So we must be an absolute nightmare to play against, particularly as Shawnee says, if these teams are so used to having it easy and then they come up against us, it's a whole new ball game.
I want to show you something because Robertson was mentioned there, and we're going to get on to Curtis Jones, I think, definitely, because he was just fucking outrageous.
I hope so.
But Jamie, I'll stay with you, right? And I want to show you something, right? And that's the passing network versus Porto, and it shows a bit of an average position as well. And what we've seen throughout the start of the season, particularly when Harvey Elliott was in the team, was you'd see Trent, and on this you'd see right back, right centre midfield, and right winger in a very close triangle where they're outnumbering that side of the pitch and they're making things happen, right? And yesterday I flipped, and that was the first stat I went looking for last night after the game. Where were the average positions and where was the network of passing? Because if you look there, you can see left back, left centre midfield, left winger, and they all get right on top of each other and they outnumber, and they look, Mane and Robertson looked somewhere back to their best for me last night in how direct they were, how physical they were, how, they just weren't given a minute to Porto and they were just full of ideas and running and stuff like that. And it made me wonder a little bit, Jamie, like, do we sacrifice one side of the pitch for the other? Because what we've seen in previous games is we've been raving about, Harvey Elliott, Trent and Salah, and people have been kind of looking at Robertson and looking at Mane and saying, oh, they're not much that output. But when you flip it over, right, and go back probably 18 months, it was the other way around. We used to do this down the left, and Salah used to be just look to expose. And just that change in play last night, Jamie, to me, just emphasised what each side of the pitch needs to actually fully get what they're trying to do and fully expose other teams. I don't know if I'm putting this right. I think you know where I'm going.
No, absolutely. It was interesting to see at the start of the season, and we spoke about this on previous shows on a Wednesday. It really looked like by design that Harvey Elliott had built up a relationship with Mo Salah and Trent, and we did a couple of these kind of passing networks or average positions when Harvey was fit, and it was the mirror image, but on the right hand side. They were looking to create overloads on the right, and you could see that we were at our most dangerous. We were occupying fullbacks. A lot of the time it created the space then for Trent to come in and influence a little bit higher up. And what that meant on the other side, and you're dead right, you can't be as expansive on both sides because then ultimately then in the middle you'll struggle. So usually then it would mean whoever was on the left would probably tuck in a little bit more, be a little bit safer in possession. And then in theory that would leave Robertson and Mane more isolated on the left. Now with Curtis coming into the side, I feel like Klopp is trying to mirror what he did with Harvey, but on the left, because Jones likes coming from the left. Automatically, he's got a bit of a swagger about him. He drifts in and out of that left pocket. He links up well with Mane and Robertson, and it's absolutely no coincidence that I thought that was probably the strongest our left-hand side has looked for a while in terms of threat. But what it does, if you have a player like a Harvey Elliott or a Curtis Jones who are, I don't want to say in the Grealish mode because I think it's easy to make those type of comparisons. But what I mean, Phil Foden, Grealish, take your pick. A player that is comfortable taking the ball in any situation. So when you've got a team that are sitting in, they'll pick up pockets, they'll break lines, they're comfortable recycling the ball. They drift in and out of positions, and it leaves then Robertson, Mane, more space for them, and it must be an absolute nightmare for teams to defend against. So I think it's absolutely by design, and what that means then is Henderson can tuck in a little bit more on the right hand side, and will probably be, particularly now with Milner, probably a little less expansive on the right. But yeah, I think it bodes well, and I think you're going to see Curtis Jones, who I know we're going to talk about a lot, grow in influence in this team to a similar nature that Harvey Elliott was starting to do before his injury.
Meme with a super chat says, watching us play teams off the park in their own backyard and then seeing Villarreal dominate United for 90 minutes with their divas just shows how far ahead we are. We're a completely different unit to Manchester United. We're so far down the road from them, in my opinion, even as a club at the moment, from top to bottom, on the pitch, manager-wise, structure, everything. United are still a massive, massive club, but I think when you put all these factors together, I think Liverpool are, theoretically, like miles ahead of them.
It's an identity thing for me, Gav, just on United, because a lot of people chirp up about United, and people say, oh yeah, Solskjaer is they're not far behind in the league and all this stuff. They have no identity. And the reason I say this is, you look at Liverpool, they have a clear philosophy. I'd say even Tuchel in his early stages at Chelsea, even though they've struggled a little bit last couple of games, but they have an identity, a clear identity. Manchester United are a team full of individuals, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has relied on individual brilliance for a long period of time. It's not sustainable. Liverpool have a clear path to success, and I think the fundamentals of Liverpool have been there for a very long time. Manchester City have an identity. Manchester United don't have an identity. They don't play great football. They just rely on a superstar having a good day, and hopefully they win games.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's just, and anybody watching this thinking, oh, that's just Liverpool fans telling you, commenting on United. I think it's fairly obvious. When you
it's so obvious, Gav. This is the thing. It's honestly the social thing is, it's so obvious. Like, football is not complicated. You've got a team who've got good individuals and not a great manager. He might be a decent manager, but the people he's competing with is never going to be successful. That's it. Full stop. End of sentence. That's it. Done. There's no more conversation. So the longer they keep doing this, it's not going to be successful. And it's just, you get a new manager, then you keep hearing, what is it with these buzzwords nowadays? Transition, rebuild. Honestly, I'm just fed up of it. Like, Tuchel literally took Chelsea last year. Now, don't get me wrong, I know, but Chelsea, you could argue, got the same amount of money as well. And he won the Champions League with them. So it's like nonsense. Actually, nonsense, honestly. It's just, I feel like people like to use buzzwords to make it feel better that the team are underachieving, because that's what it is. And I want Ole to stay for a long time. Ole in, all the way.
Well, I know United fans, I know loads of them, but there's one or two that are so fucking honest in what they say, and they don't actually do the Ole in, Ole out thing. They just tell you as it is as they watch football, because that's what they are, lads in the pub watching football. And they genuinely turn to me most weeks and say, I don't know what we're trying here. I don't know what we're trying. He said, even at our best under Ferguson, we'd counter-attack. We know we're going to counter-attack. From the early 90s, Kanchelski's gigs, they'd done all that. We knew during the mid-2000s, we'd dominate most games at Old Trafford. From the very start, get goals and just pen people in, and you couldn't get out, especially with Ferdinand back there and stuff like that. But right now, United fans are saying to me, I just don't know what he's trying, and he's literally just... He's winging it and seeing how far he can get. But listen, that's enough about United. It just came up there in a super chat. Sean, I'm going to come to you because you've made it fairly plain that Porto were shy, right? But I have a stat here and I wanted to use it, and I'm not going to let you upset me. So, shot map versus Porto, and we're just raining in shots from everywhere. Goals in front of goal, goals around penalty spots, a goal from 40 yards out, but we're peppering them with shots. And interestingly enough, Shawnee, the one thing that came out with this stat on the screen is the amount of shots we're taking from outside the box now. It's definitely another element to what we're doing, because it's always something that me, you and others have discussed over the last 12, 18 months. We don't shoot from the outside of the box, but we're lashing in shots from everywhere, Shawnee, now. And it's getting us goals, it's getting us opportunities.
Yeah, big time. But I think that comes from having sort of having a more attacking aspect in midfield now. As you think back to Genie never really shot outside the box for Liverpool, and he was an ever present. He played almost every game. And then in that same system, Henderson was never really that. He always made late runs. He did get a couple of goals, but his job was solely sort of to cover that right hand side. And then you had Fabinho, who loves a pop from distance every now and again. But there's sort of a different dynamic now where you have Curtis now and you had Elliott, who were more involved in attacks and in the final part of the pitch. And I like to see it. There was a few moments last night where Henderson had a crack from free kicks and that, because like the saying is, you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle, Gav. We do have relied heavily on the cross into the box and sometimes a nice bit of combination play between the forwards. So it's nice to see us have that aspect of our game. Like talking about Curtis Jones that time, I think we might have been on a midweek fix, and I said that I actually could see him playing the very same role as Elliott in the Liverpool side. I said it, but I thought he would have still been able to do it on the right side, because for me, one of the most impressive things about Jones is that he's actually both-footed. That he doesn't seem to have a weak side. He can play off either side. So when you have somebody like him in your team, you see the first goal last night, he cuts in, he causes havoc, keeper spills it, and Mo was cleaning up. And that's exactly what you want. The funny thing is, we seemed to score the most difficult chances last night, and instead of the easy ones not really falling for us. So even though we beat them 5-1 last night, there's going to be so many teams on the end of hiding from this Liverpool side coming in the next couple of weeks, I reckon, because we seem to really have that balance. Apart from Brentford, which was the ding dong, where we do have them every now and again.
Yeah, we have
that. Was a bit of a blip. Yeah, we have got those games in us. I do think we are starting to look like Liverpool again. And I listened to a lot of these so-called experts talking today on TalkSport, and you can tell that we're starting to come into the conversation now, because they're like, Liverpool are quietly going about their business and people are starting to pay attention to us now. And Simon Jordan turned around and said they looked an easy touch last year when they lost all their main men. He goes, but they've got some real key figures back, and they've got hungry young players all playing for Jurgen Klopp. And that's exactly what we need now, Gav, going into. I know we're picking up injuries, and a lot is being made about the injuries because of what happened last year. I think people are scared. I think as soon as one goes down, they're starting to panic and thinking that it's just going to snowball. But we're all within reason. We're doing well. I think last night was one of those games where Liverpool quite aren't at their best, but they absolutely wiped the floor with the opposition away from home. And that's very much 1920 Liverpool. There's so many different facets now to the game. We didn't struggle to create last night without Trent, which had been a problem for us in the past. When Trent is out of game, we do normally seem to struggle, whether that switch of play to Robbo's not on and that those balls across the box, and Milner enabled deputy. So it's all good, Gav. I'd say here waxing lyrical for Curtis Jones, but I know we're on a
Oh,
the
listen,
kid.
to be an air
Can I do a bit more, Gav?
Oh no, you
Yeah,
can.
a bit
In 1
more.
second, yeah, I'm going to give you a free round
The
run
kid-
up Curtis Jones down in a minute. There's no
the-
worries. But
The
there will be
kid
an
is
air horn.
amazing, and
There will be an
the
air
kid
horn
is
going off.
yeah, the kid is amazing. He was being thrown to the wolves when Elliot came in. Everyone was going, "What are we going to do with him? Are we going to sell him?" There's teams looking at him. Are we going to loan him out? But look,
I didn't.
he's at-
I've been emphasising that people
at the
forgot
game.
how good he was last year. But
big time. He plays with such maturity, Gav. He's jealous. He's one of them players that you watch and say, "I wish I could do stuff like that." He makes the game look really, really simple. And what I will say is, for a lad who has been probably on the slight side, he is only 20. He does seem to have a little bit more of that core strength about him now. He was bullying fellas off the ball last night in midfield, and it can only be good for us. Long may it continue.
Absolutely, and when you see him coming in, and you're right, when Elliot was flying, people are saying, "Oh, where will Curtis Jones get a game?" and stuff like that. But I think what he's shown, and you're right, physically he's just getting better and better for me. He's a little bit dominating at times, where he's literally going fuck off. You know what I mean? And he's literally pushing players away as if to go, get the fuck away from me. I have a game to play here. You know, like even your man running down the wing. I think it was first half. Late in the first half, and he just literally swats him away. You know, when your man goes down, I think he gets a free, but you can see the strength in him, even when he's literally nearly bent over because of the way he has to turn. He is physical. I don't think Liverpool are quietly going about their business at all. I think Liverpool are out there and they're absolutely going for it, and they're banging in 3 goals every week. I think they're being subdued by the media, because that's what the media want, Liverpool to be subdued, and hope it doesn't go right, because we're back in the territory for me of when Liverpool weren't quite great, and the media like to see them get better and then ultimately fail. I think that's what we're back in.
What I meant by that, Gav, is that everyone is talking about the evolutionary that Tuchel was last week, and this City side without a striker, and all of the narratives have been about everybody but Liverpool. And I like that. I actually prefer that. I'd rather get to Christmas with that way, and then they go, "Oh, holy Jesus, look, these are still hanging around." It could all explode on Sunday, because I reckon if we do beat Chelsea or City, which we'll get on to, there's going to be serious. There's going to be people going, "Oh no, not this again." And I really do feel like that, because you could see the enjoyment people took from us dropping just the 2 points on Saturday against Brentford. And I'm telling you, I said it last week, loads of teams are going to drop points there. So it's good. It's good.
You're getting me giddy. I don't know if it's the nitro surge cans or it's Johnny. I'm getting giddy.
Shawnee's good at getting people giddy.
I genuinely, I just think, let them go about that business. And what we hadn't had, 1920 wasn't Mao's best year, if I'm being honest. And last year he did pull us through the wire. Salah is on a mad one. He's the best player in the world at the moment. Yeah. And I honestly think with him in your team, you're not gonna he's not gonna stop. He's just relentless. He is relentless at the moment. So Sunday is huge. I'm getting giddy for it now myself.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. Anthony O'Chill with a super chat from a little while back, and I better read it out. He says, "Give United time. They will sign Sancho in January." Cool.
That's the best super chat of the night. Well done. That's the best super chat.
Jamie, I know you want to talk a little bit about the man that is Curtis Jones. All right, and I'm just going to pop something up on screen there. It's pass map. Against Porto, you can see loads of passes, a few ambitious ones, a few shorter ones that don't quite happen, assists all over the shop. I'd love to see his goal involvements rather than his assists, because he was everywhere.
Yeah, he only got 2 assists, I think, guys. He didn't. Yeah,
he's only given 2. Yeah, the one for Salah and the one for Firmino. The shot comes off the keeper, so he doesn't get, and then a defender, so it doesn't happen for the first one. And the last one is the volley that bounces all around and Firmino scores. But Jamie, you see that, right? And you see where he's passing it, the positions he's in, and the type of passes he's trying. He's getting assists, and I'm wondering, is it, it's definitely the player. It's definitely the player, Jamie. But how much has Jurgen Klopp allowed this? Because we were so used to a midfield three where it was functional was the word around it. Functional. Henderson one side, Wijnaldum the other, Fabinho sitting there. We walk, and we let the front three and the fullbacks do their business. But you've seen in this season where we're allowing one midfielder, whether it be Elliot off that right hand side or Jones, or possibly Keita or whatever, Thiago off that left hand side, just be that little bit more adventurous, getting further up the pitch. And I'm not saying runs late into the box. I'm talking about being actively part of the front three, actively part of that team along with the front three and the fullbacks, rather than being a supporting act.
It's funny because whilst the kind of functional midfield three were probably the bedrock of what our success was built on, there was always something labelled at that Liverpool team that if we just had that creator as part of the midfield three, particularly against, 80% of teams sit in against Liverpool. You don't really need a functional three against a lot of teams that we play against because we have so much of the ball. And I think you're starting to see now an evolution of what this Liverpool team would be, whether it be Harvey, whether it be Curtis. Liverpool, I think, I think we look more balanced with more of a creator in there. And Curtis Jones, to talk about him a little bit, I never forgot that I didn't think for 1 second that he'd gone away from this Liverpool team. So he was a victim of circumstance for lots of different reasons, but the talent was always there with him. Harvey Elliott, Klopp has built his success and his squad, and I suppose the ethos across the club on, if you get your chance, you'll keep your shirt. And Harvey Elliott took his chance and kept his shirt. And that probably pissed Jones off a little bit, and he thought, you know what, just give me my chance. And he's took it with both hands. He's impacting the game. I think when he played a little bit last year, he was trying to be a saviour of a team because we were without our spine, so he was having to play not his natural game. Whereas now he's playing with this Liverpool team that has its structure back, and what that means is Curtis Jones is able to play with a little bit more freedom. He's not having to cover as much space. Curtis Jones has the ability to be any type of midfielder he wants to be. Because if you sit back now and you say, okay, what do you want from a midfielder? You want a midfielder that's comfortable on the ball, is comfortable when pressed. Can they beat a man? Can they pick a pass? Can they score? Well, Curtis Jones can do every one of those things very, very well. He's 20 years of age and he's dictating the pace of a game in the Champions League. And let's be honest, he's done this. I think it was Ajax away. Was it Ajax away that last season?
Yeah, he got the winner. Nico Williams cross. He scored the winner against Ajax. Yeah, 1-0 at Anfield.
Yeah, and so I think the thing with Curtis Jones is he has that swagger, that confidence in himself, but it's about using it in the right way, not keeping the ball a little bit too long, sucking the life out of our attacks. He's now moving the ball. He's setting the tempo. The big thing for me is if you look at the stats of when he's played for Liverpool over the last year or so, if we were to say we brought in a 20-year-old that had the same stats as Curtis Jones, it's not Curtis Jones now, it's someone from abroad, young, talented player.
Bellingham,
Liverpool fans.
Bellingham.
Yeah, anyone. You pick any. Well, geez, I cut me right toe off for Bellingham, to be fair. But you pick a name. Any player that has the same stats as Curtis Jones now, and fans are going wild. We've signed an absolute worldie. But because it's Curtis Jones, he's not something that's an exciting, shiny new signing. It just gets lost a little bit. And I think last night is a reminder to everybody of just how big his potential is. And this guy is a Liverpool fan. He's from Liverpool. It's the dream. You see these homegrown talents coming through. It's another Scouser in the team. He bleeds red. I couldn't be happier for that lad to be taking that centre stage. And Klopp's now giving him his flowers as well in the interviews. And it's telling. Klopp doesn't fill him with too much praise. I think I read into that maybe defensively, he's got to get used to the way we play. You can't always be about the flair stuff, but he seems to really have matured, not only in how he plays within our system, but also his decision-making on the pitch. And I think he's going to go on to have a massive season for us.
I really hope he does. And that's without putting anyone else down. Like if Harvey Elliott comes back in, for argument's sake, January, I don't know when he's going to come back, but let's just say January for the sake of the argument. If he comes back and we're sitting there and we're saying to ourselves, we've both of them. I'm not looking for one of them to be brilliant and then we just go, the other one's unfortunate. I want both of them to be coming on the pitch and sharing games and going.
A long season though as well, Gav.
It is a long season, but
you get lots. We've had injuries already, Gav. You know what I mean? There'll be a lot in the future.
Yeah,
it's not going to stop.
There absolutely will be, but I think sometimes we get into this where Elliott's great. Oh, poor Jones, what we going to? He's not going to get a game. I want to be able to.
That's football now, Gav.
Yeah, but I want to see Shawnee. What I want to see is
comparisons. But
I wouldn't compare. I want to see them both in the squad. And me,
but that's only you saying
to me, Elliott was brilliant for 60 and Jones come on for 30, and the next week they reversed it and they're just flying the both of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really into one's in and one's out. It's a bit like,
Yeah,
you know, when you sign someone, where's he going to play? Who's going to leave the team? I'd love to see them
reading
both
too
bang
much
on it.
Twitter, Gavin.
No,
Reading too
I'm
much.
not. I couldn't have had a massive eye infection. I couldn't open my
That doesn't
right eye for 2
happen.
days.
Like, them conversations aren't being had at Kirby. Like, everyone
No.
is.
I know that, but I'm just saying, I wouldn't, even in a playing sense, I'd love to see them both absolutely bang at it, rather than one of them getting major limelight in game time, just sharing it and going absolutely mental.
Neither of them are, like, Curtis is not long 20. There's going to be plenty of time in the future, and that them fellas are going to be running the show for a very, very, very long time. We see the ability that both of them have, and you can imagine the two of them in the midfield. And listen, they're learning day in, day out from one of the best to ever do it, and that's Thiago. You can rest assured that the lads are getting little tidbits from him and training that will stand for them for the rest of their future. So this is that's the squad of having world-class players around bearing fruits and a world-class academy, because that's what we do have. And there's so many other players coming through now that so you don't always have to look out to look in. Like, everyone was going, me included, we need a midfielder. Then we saw how good Elliott wasn't there, and then we have Jones coming in there. He was a forgotten man. Like, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain costs us 35 million. He's not getting near this team at the moment, and he's fit.
Yeah.
So that would show you that we're in good stead. So long may it continue.
Absolutely. Conroy, coming to you, just looking at the group itself, with regards to, you know, we've 6 from 6. Atletico get out with a result last night, and they have 4, and we play them in back-to-back games now, and that'll shape, I think, the winners of the group for me. What are you looking for in these 2 games, Conroy? And I know it's hard to lots can happen. League games, could be injuries, suspensions, wherever it could be. But what are you looking for them? Are you looking for 4?
Take 4 for me. Yeah, I'm not arrogant in the sense of we're not always great, especially against Atletico. So I'll be buzzing with 4 points from those games. I just wanted to touch on what you said earlier, Gav. I actually think it was great management as well last night to play the same team and to win, because it's 6 points on the board, and then you've got the Atletico double games coming up, which, let's be honest, he's probably thinking about the president against Atletico. We're not amazing against them. Apart that second leg at Anfield, we tore them apart, but we somehow, I think Bobby Firmino, couldn't finish his dinner that night.
Don't. The wounds are still open.
What I mean by that, I think we've put ourselves in a great position, and 4 points, I think we can be realistic. We could be greedy for 6, but I think if you can get 4 points from those games, you're close to just, you're 1 foot, you're 1.5 feet in the next round, and maybe 1 point or 1 win from the last 2, and you're through. So I know what Gav had previously mentioned last week, Liverpool don't really do group stages easily. Last season was probably the first time we'd done that. So I feel like I'd bite your hand off for 4 points. I think that would be, because I think, what's their new stadium called again? Atletico's. I was getting it. Yeah, I think it's a tough place to go, and I do think I know we've had conversations with different people. Some people dislike Simeone. I think he's a brilliant coach, a brilliant manager. So I feel like he knows, especially how to stop us, especially at their home ground. So 4 points, I'd be delighted with that. Can I just add, Gav, on the Jones as well? I'd said a couple of weeks ago, the only thing with Jones is when he came in the first team compared to the academy. Now I know it's different, but he was not shooting enough, or when he was shooting, he was making himself look like he was an average shot of the ball, and it's not. He's a very, very good strike of the ball, and you can see it now. I think he has a shot for the goal last night. He also has another shot from range. You can tell his confidence on the park for striking the ball is improving as well. So I think that's great to see as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, Luke Jackson agrees with you. He'd be delighted with 4 points. Others want 6, but 4 seems to be the.
With Porto drawing with Atletico in the first game, I think 4 is great, because they've already dropped points in one of the games.
Yeah, they're going to have to come at us.
Like, I think they will. I think they will in their home game.
It's not a knockout game against Atletico where they can kind of take you back home or bring you to Anfield. Like, it's points at stake here, and they need them more than we do. So it could inhibit them. They haven't been actually that great this year in the league.
I think if they draw last night, Shawnee, that definitely is the case. Because they get the win last night, I feel like they probably would still take the point at home. But I hear what you're saying.
They need to beat us in one of the games, because I think Milan and Porto are both going to be difficult games for them again. The backside of it.
Yeah, and I think the fact that if we took 4 out of this next 2 games, it'd leave Atletico a little bit there for the taking, especially if say Milan go and win their 2, or Porto, more importantly, go and win their 2, because they'd be on 7
Yeah.
points then. Did they get a
I
point away
can't
from
see
Atletico?
both doing that, but that's just me. I just think they're inconsistent, both of those teams. But it might happen. Milan were unlucky last night, didn't they? Got a red card, didn't they?
Yeah,
Quite
Kessie
early.
was sent off. Yeah, but look, 4 points I think seems to be the sweet spot. Conor, I'm going to stay with you, and I want to move on to Sunday and Man City. What are we?
Was on Sunday? I didn't know. Was it excited about it or anything?
The 7 there. Well, Shawnee will get you excited in a minute. Wait to see what the big rallying call he's going to do now in a few minutes. He's typing it out on his phone there as we speak. But Conroy, I think it's our 7th league game, if I'm right. Yeah, 7th league game, and
yeah.
You know, we've heard bits about it where it's, you know, it's a big game. It's Pep and Klopp, and you know, City have moved into second. Liverpool dropped points last weekend, and we're hearing stats about how many shots City have faced this season and on target and stuff like that, and building them up a little bit. But it's 7 games in. For you, does this result shape anyone's season, or is it a case of it just it's just a statement, but it's not season defining?
Don't think it's season defining. However, Chelsea game, 10 men for a half. We didn't get the win in that game. That sticks in my head, and I feel like a loss against City at this stage is similar to that. However, it's not season defining, but to be honest, we've just won 5-1. They've just got beat 2-0 of PSG, albeit they played quite well. But I feel like that's 2 home games against potentially our rivals for the title. The second one against home, so that's 2 home games early against the rivals. So that means later on in the season, I can't remember the dates, you're going to have to be City away and Chelsea away. I feel like it's quite important that you win one of the home games against them. I've got to be honest. It's not a necessity. I just think it's important, especially not to lose. But for me, as Shawnee said, a win probably creates the media thinking we can win the league. But I think it's a big opportunity, I've got to be honest, guys. With this week, if we beat City, people forget about the Brentford game. I already think the team's forgotten about it, but it becomes, it's a good point now because we beat City. I think if we lose, they'll take confidence from that as well. And I think it's fell nicely with the Porto game, and I think it's a huge opportunity. However, not season defining, but it might give us the confidence to be like, we've already got that mentality, but maybe it will actually make it a reality that we can kick on and just maybe blow teams away for the rest of the season. I think it's a huge game, I've got to be honest, guys. I don't know if you think it's season defining. I would say at the moment, no, but important.
Jamie, I don't think it's season defining. However, in my mind, if City were to beat us on Sunday, they go 2 points clear of us, I think, right? And they've won at Anfield, and that'd be a huge thing for them. They won at Anfield last season.
Stamford Bridge and Anfield, 2 in a row as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but
not without fans, though. Will you
yeah,
stop
but they win at Anfield last season, and that's a bit of a default. It's a null and void one for me, Jamie, because of the situation we were in at the time. All right, but if they win, I think it's just a case of City, you know, that they're on that run again, and you know that's sort. But I think if we win, Jamie, not so much the media. How much does it affect Manchester City? And I know it's only 4 points if they lose it, but how much does it affect Manchester City where they go, fuck, this Liverpool team are actually back. They're actually really fucking back.
It's going to make me look stupid now because this could get clipped and shown if City go on. There's something in me. I think Pep's fragile. And I think it runs through his City side. They couldn't believe their luck that they got to play Liverpool at an empty stadium last year. Playing Liverpool on Sunday, that will be a hotbed. The crowd will swallow them up and Liverpool will swarm them. And Pep has already seen the full power of Anfield. I think I don't think it's season defining for the exact reason that Shawnee said before. I think a lot of teams will drop more points this season. I don't think you're going to get a runaway leader. So if we lost, which I don't think we will, I'm confident that Liverpool will win. Don't get me wrong, I think City are brilliant, but I also think Liverpool are brilliant. And we're going to be backed by a full Anfield, which gives us an extra 10-20%. I think it could damage City. Depending on how the game goes, you know, if it's a comfortable win for Liverpool, I think it's fair to say that either team could win this game comfortably by some margin. Anything could happen in this game because the teams are both so good. But I think it could damage City. I think it could damage Pep more than the players. I think he could get Pep starting to overthink things, which he has a tendency to do, and then that starts to filter through to his players. If Liverpool steal a march, I think they'll take some catching. But again, it's far too early. I think it's just a chance for Liverpool to say, hold on a second, don't you be writing us off. We're not going anywhere. And to be honest, I fully expect Liverpool to go out and put on a performance. I think off the back of the Porto game, I think it's perfect. Look, it's not ideal. The trend's probably, I'm kind of thinking in the back of my mind, is Jurgen pulling a bit of a fast one, and they're being a little bit, I suppose, a bit precautious in terms of keeping Trent out of the Porto game, and ultimately expect him to come in and play. Even if he doesn't play, I still expect Liverpool to have enough on the day to get it done. I think Milner has looked solid at fullback. He's probably not going to be as expansive as Trent. In fact, I think we've got some numbers that say it. He's still creating, but will probably be a little bit more solid. And against a City team who like to cheat in wide areas, maybe in the pockets, maybe behind a Trent who's looking to be expansive and get forward. Maybe that would give him a little bit more opportunity to maybe catch us. I think the one thing to say about this game is City will attack us. Liverpool are good against teams that come out against us. Liverpool struggle against teams that don't come out. And Liverpool, the reason why, again, ignoring last season with no fans because it's not the same, the reason Liverpool have, dare I say it, had City's marker maybe better than most sides is because we're not scared of them. And if you can beat City's press, you can go right at their heart, and they're a little bit fragile. Pep knows it, the players know it, and I think their supporters know it. And I think Sunday, hopefully, we're going to see it again.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We're 6 games in, and I don't think you read too much into things. In certain situations you do, Norwich are brutal, right? You know that after 6 games. You look at teams and they're up near the top, Brighton. I wouldn't read too much into Brighton, although they're playing fantastically well. I don't see them staying up there. And when it comes to the title, I have Chelsea in there, I have us, and I have City. I think they're the 3 most likely to win the league by a distance, in my opinion, right? But, Shawnee, when I look at this, I think back to 1920, and the weekend before we play City at Anfield, we're 1-0 down at Villa Park with 8 minutes remaining, and City are just gone ahead, I think, at home to Southampton. And we win that game. And I always remember after going, I think we end up 6 points clear. All right. And the narrative going before we win is, if City win at Anfield next season, they'd be level with Liverpool. The way results were going, we switch it around. Mane gets that winner, and we go and we deal them at Anfield, and we go 9 points clear. And for me, the league is over. And I know by looking at City players, the league is over. Now, 4 points is half that, less than half that. But psychologically, like Jamie says, how big is this psychologically? I don't think it's as big as psychologically on us, Shawnee, as it is on them, whoever comes out losing. I don't know if you agree, but I'm with Jamie a bit. I think they're living on the edge for me. And I think if something goes wrong for them in the league, I think they're fucked. And I think if something goes wrong in the Champions League, the smallest thing, I think they could actually implode.
Yeah, well, look, you can level many things at this City team. I still think they're probably the only other team in the league who can string 12, 13, 14 wins together as long as ourselves. I think we're the only 2 90-point teams in the league, even with this Chelsea. I'm not buying into the Tuchel thing, not just yet, to be honest with you. But one thing that is never really talked about, City are actually quitters. They are quitters. That when they do go behind in this, the stomach seems to go, the heart seems to go real quick. And you need to remember what was going on there in the summer. City were trying to kick players out the door to make space for ones to come in. And those lads are now expected to put in a shift and be full-blooded for them coming into these games. Now, Bernardo is a little bollocks. But
he's a good bollocks.
Yeah, but they tried to get him out. So how long is he going to stick the fight if they go behind it? He's human. He's going to turn around. It's like if your boss is giving you shit and a project goes to bits, you're not going to be in it for him. You're not going to want to pull him out of mire because you're going to remember that this is the fella that tried to get me out the door, tried to do me up. So we've got to go for the neck on Sunday. That's exactly what we have to do. No, I talked about Brentford being a ding-dong. Let's make Sunday a fucking ding-dong. Let's have a slugfest with them. Let's go. They've no striker. I'm not worried about that. Wide men are very creative and they do get in and out. I'd back us to deal with them all day long. I would back us to deal with them all day long, to be honest with you. If Ferran Torres through the middle, they won't put KDB through the middle because they need him in the middle of the park for this game. Gabby Jesus, I don't see him giving Matip and Virgil too many problems. So this is our chance to say, okay, well, we're fucking here now. We're here again. It's us two. And it's always been us two. And this is the rivalry now in the Premier League. And we have our fans back. And you beat us last year when you weren't here, but they're fucking here now. And we have all our players back. We have all the big boys back. And let them create all these narratives you want. Because if we go at them, Gav, I am not sure that they have to go to deal with us. And that's the truth. And that's not a feeling. That's going off what's gone on in the past. They do give up. They do quit. And they have done that. Unless they're way out in front, they do quit. You've seen, they look dejected. They look dejected. Like, you see Sterling last night. You can't be bringing a fella in out of cold to play every 4 or 5 weeks and then playing him in the wrong position and expecting to do his job. Now, they will be bang up for it. But we have got to... We should make Sunday a ding-dong. It should be classic Liverpool and ding-dong. And back our defence to look after their forwards and our forwards to get at their defence. Because that's the way I see it. I really do think that we can get at this. I think it can be... for the fourth time in a long time when we go into one of these games against the Big Six. Remember when Liverpool used to just take the game away from teams in 10 minutes? Bang, 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 1, 2, 3, and the game would be over. We've done that often against these, and they can be got at. I don't care who's ready. So I do think we should be fucking looking again to send a message here, because all of the shite that's been talked about us and everyone else around us, well, we're back again. And it's as simple as that.
We'll see what happens. Jamie, I want to put up this up on screen with you. That's the lineup I had in my head for Sunday. Alisson in goal, Milner, Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho, Jones, Henderson, Salah, Mane, Jota. Same as last night, actually. Are you good with that, Jamie, or is that you change?
Yeah, I'd make a change for this game in particular, and so a couple of things. So people have been mentioning in the chat, and I think they're right, we need to be clinical in this game. And Sam Maguire sent us a text as the show was going on saying Manchester City have only conceded 1 goal, or they haven't conceded a goal actually since the opening weekend of the Premier League. So they're solid, but correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any team is creating the volume of chances that Liverpool are creating this season. I think us and City are out in front, and I think that's where the game is going to be. It's going to be decided. And for me, with that in mind, whilst I'm a massive Jota fan, I think I'd actually start for Firmino in this game. And the reason why I'd pick Firmino, I really enjoyed his cameo last night, and it made me think of what Bobby is, and in a game against somebody like City, his ability to keep the ball, fire it in, make it stick. You know, there's going to be periods in that game where Manchester City may be building up a head of steam, keeping the ball. The fact that he is a pressing machine, Jota's the same. But the one thing that Bobby has got is this ability to bring others into play, take the sting out of a game. You can fire it to him in any way, which shape or form, and he'll make something of it. And I just think against City, I think that could be really worth its weight in gold. You're always going to get the output from the wide men in and around him. You got Curtis that's going to be more offensive in the midfield 3. So I just think Bobby could be a good change. And I think I prefer the idea of Jota off the bench as an impact player, given how the game could potentially go. You know, if you're looking at that and it's 0-0 at 60, and you think, do you know what, let's bring Jota on, that's a whole new problem for City to think about, as opposed to the opposite, which would be Bobby's ran himself into the ground, Jota's ran himself into the ground for 60, then you're bringing on Firmino. Does it have the same impact? I'm not so sure it does. So, I'd go the exact same as you, but Firmino for Jota.
Okay. Quick early predictions, lads, because I want to go on to winners and losers. Shawnee, quick early prediction on Man City travelling to Liverpool on Sunday.
3-1 Liverpool.
Nice. See, Shawnee has just gone now. Wait to see the chat go mad. Some fella I think has an erection because of the way we're talking about this game on Sunday. So we leave.
Did somebody mention Thiago? Did they?
No,
probably be me. That
somebody just said they're really, really excited now. So there you go. Conroy, quick prediction.
I think we do concede, so I think it'll be a 2-1 Liverpool.
2-1. Jamie?
3-1 to Liverpool.
Jeez, 3-1 is the thing. I think I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool. I'm going to go 3-2 Liverpool. I agree with Sean. I think this could start off cagey and then it could just go fucking insane.
See, I don't think it will start off cagey. I don't think it ever does against City, because even when we won 3-1, City missed 3 chances and then Fabinho scored. So it's not always us, but one of us kicks off quite fast.
Yeah, but Pep has done it before where he's come and to Anfield and he's literally tried to stifle us.
Yeah, the 0-0 when Mahrez missed the penalty.
Yes, and he tried to stifle us and he done a good job of it. But all it'll take is one thing, I think. One thing and it'll go. James LFC is he's on 5-1 Liverpool.
I like it.
He won't be being bleeding.
He's literally used to. These were saying that they were going to change kit colours because they couldn't win in the blue kit or white ones. These have a hoodoo at Anfield when there's fans there. Don't forget that.
Here's one for you, lads. It is one for you. If you remember the game, it was at the Etihad, and Klopp threw a fucking googly at Pep and started the front 4, and City absolutely shit the bed for 20-25 minutes. Do you think Klopp could do something like that and be ballsy and throw the front 4 on? Or
that didn't work though, Jamie, because I thought the front 4 weren't very good. But
I thought we were out. I thought we were outstanding in that City game. I thought with the first,
the 1-1. I thought Jota was poor in that. That just each their own. But I thought he played Bobby Firmino because of his son. That's why I played him in that game, because Firmino didn't deserve it. But I think he just sticks. I get what you're saying, but I think let's not talk about overthinking. That's what Pep's great at. Maybe let's keep Jurgen Klopp just sticks with 4-3-3 and it works.
He's definitely playing a midfielder up front. Pep, he's doing something.
Well, who else has he got? He's not got a striker. Well, Jesus.
Yeah, he has Jesus.
Plays right wing now, doesn't he? Plays right wing now.
We'll have to wait and see. Right, winners and losers. Jamie, I'm going to come to you first. I'm going to let each of you give your winners and losers. We're going to fly through these. We have 12 minutes to get through these, and then the air horn is going to go off, and we're all going to go to bed. So
no, I've got to watch Married at First Sight UK.
Oh no, there's always something you have to watch.
Got to go watch that. So
who's your winner or loser? Loser first.
Loser is so my loser is Robbie Savage.
Right.
And my reason is, and you actually nearly made me change mine because I didn't realise this interview was from 2020.
Jamie's held on to that grudge. He's not letting that go.
Do you know what it was, right? So Robbie Savage, and it's obviously done the rounds again now because obviously Mo Salah's brilliant and Sancho hasn't set the world alight. But it was Robbie Savage, and it highlights for me, I suppose, the way the punditry's gone these days, play into the gallery. And Robbie Savage basically said, look, if you were to pick a player now to play on the right-hand side of your team, who do you pick, Mo Salah or Jadon Sancho? And and Robbie Savage turned around and said, Jadon Sancho. And when questioned about the decision, because it's a ballsy decision, his response was, it's my opinion. Just my opinion. Yeah, no, just my opinion. There was no facts. There was no reasoning. There was nothing behind it. You fast forward that now and you look at just how idiotic that statement is. Mo Salah's now 8 goals from 8 games, I think, 2 assists. Jadon Sancho's a brilliant player, but he hasn't set the world alight at Manchester United. Mo Salah, I think Shawnee said it before, in my opinion, is currently the best player in the world. I think he's an outstanding footballer who delivers in every single game that he plays and consistently has been arguably the best player in the Premier League for a very long time as well. So, I just wanted to highlight the idiocy of Robbie Savage's claim, and I'm delighted that it couldn't be further from the truth. So, Robbie Savage, you are my loser of the week. My winner of the week is Emile Smith-Rowe. Emile Smith-Rowe. Simply put, I just really like watching him as a footballer. I really enjoyed watching Jack Grealish before he went to Manchester City. Now it's a little bit harder to enjoy his performances. So I'm going to enjoy Smith-Rowe for a while because I don't think Arsenal are going to be a threat to us. So I just love his backstory. I love the way he plays the game. You know, we talk about, these young players who are comfortable in possession, the likes of a Foden, the likes of a Grealish. He's from that ilk. He's taken on responsibility at a young age. He got a goal and assist against the bitter rivals, Tottenham. And I think, consistently he's getting man of the matches coming out of his ears now at Arsenal. And he's just a player that makes me enjoy watching football. And they're few and far between these days. So he's my winner of the week.
Nice one. I really enjoyed watching him play at the weekend as well. As horrendous as Spurs were, he was brilliant, in fairness to him. His movement and for the goal is moving for Aubameyang's goal.
It was class. Absolutely class.
And actually, when I watched them on Sunday, I could see why Aston Villa had a right good look at him and a right good go for him when they knew Grealish was leaving, because he's very, very, very like him, the way he plays. But
Villa were meant to have put in we're after Jones as well for around 30 million, supposedly. Curtis Jones, and you can see why, the type of profile that they've both got.
Yeah. Now, Conroy, winners and losers. Loser first, please.
Loser, I went for Leeds. We actually had Joe on, was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a good conversation, but I know actually Leeds, they played reasonably well at the weekend. Rafinha, since his disaster class against Old Trafford, he's actually came in a bit of form, played well, scored again, but losing the last minute to West Ham. They're currently 18th, I think, Leeds. Very poor start to the season, and even when they're playing well, they're not getting results now. It's I wouldn't say quite worrying times, but I mean, from what they had last season, especially ending that season to this start, I gave it a few weeks, because sometimes you can have a bad start, but that where they are now, that's us 6 games in. I don't think they'll go down or anything like that, but yeah, their form's not been good at all. Not even got a win yet, so they're my loser of the week.
Okay, and who is your winner of the week? And I think this, I know who your winner of the week is, so you're going to tell me, but I think this might be popular, this one.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's still, I thought you were going to bring something up there,
Yeah,
Gav.
no.
Yeah, so my winner of the week is what is it? The Bob Marley song. I didn't shoot the sheriff. Last night, I mean, I don't know if you saw the goal. I mean, they would have taken a tap-in or an own goal or anything to beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in the 88th minute or 89th minute. But left foot strike, what a goal it was as well. Outstanding result. Unbelievable. Probably just like surreal. It is just surreal. To beat the 13-time champions of the Champions League, Real Madrid. Unbelievable. And I saw, he is a Liverpool, you'd probably say a cult hero, Dirk Kuyt was in a studio, and he went, teams like FC Sheriff getting in, it's they're not good enough to be here. It was all of those words, it's the Champions League, it's about the champions, but really not what are they going to do? Beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. Unbelievable. Even the fact we're winning, see if they'd lost 2-1 or drew 1-1, that would have been surreal. The fact of 1 in the 88th minute, I mean, Real Madrid could have been my losers just for that, to be fair. They did batter them, but who cares, man? 2-1, unbelievable. You talk about that in 50 years' time. Unbelievable.
Do you know what it is as well? When you're a kid, or well, even now, I'm 36 and I still do this. When you play football, or you imagine like that moment when the ball drops to you, the goal was that, and it just gets headed to the edge of the box and it's kind of coming to you on the half volley.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet.
It hits it so sweet into the top corner. It was absolutely brilliant, and the coaches
all
diving on the
Roy stuff.
Roy the Rover stuff, exactly.
So it was.
No, but it was just, Gav, just before we go on as well, I don't know if the lads want to add anything to that. I just wanted to have a shout out as well to, obviously I'm from Scotland, Scottish football. There's a manager, Dundee United manager. Now, he beat Rangers in the first or second game of the season at Tannadice with Dundee United. His name's Tam Courts. And then he drew a Celtic at Parkhead there 1-1. He's won 3 games from his first 5 or 6. I think about 6 and now, doing really well. But I have to give him a shout out, because if you ever get the chance, guys, watch his post-match interviews. And it's all about the terminology he uses, and it's like a word dictionary every day. New phrases, rejuvenate, like it's outstanding. So if anyone gets the chance in the chat, check it out. It's very, very Tam Courts, outstanding.
Okay, well, I'm going to check out Tam Courts and his post-match interviews. They sound a bit Brendan Rodgers to me, if he's using loads of words, to be honest with you.
It's very good. It's very good.
Shawnee, I was hoping your winner would be like everybody piling in everywhere on Sunday, because you were just literally, you have the place in uproar here about the game on Sunday. But we'll start with losers. Who is your loser of the week, Shawnee?
Bruno Fernandes.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Well, look at that.
Yeah.
I don't even need to say anything.
Just silence. Let's keep silence for 5 minutes instead of that.
The fella is writing more words than J.K. Rowling after he missed the penalty. What is going on?
Yeah.
What is going on? And the best part was that you can even tell that like these United legends are absolutely sickened by what's going on at United at the moment. They can't even hide from it anymore. Imagine him doing that when Roy Keane was the
Yeah.
He would have gave him a wedgie and flushed his head
His
down
back
the
to the-
toilet.
The worst part, Shawnee, the worst part is apparently it's not him who's written it. It's his
Yeah, come on.
comms,
And then
comms team.
United made a post where, oh, we're all with you, bro. Like, the fella didn't die. He missed the fucking penalty. Like, it's laughable at the moment. And do you know what? It's kind of an indictment on the state of football at the moment that
100%, yeah.
it's gotten like this. You know what I mean? Like, you'd rather them see go out and back it. And I wouldn't mind he was brutal tonight. So it didn't mean much. You know what I mean? I know they got the result, but it's absolutely... it's so small time. It's so everything. It's so not Manchester United. I can't believe what's going on there at the moment. It's actually like I'm
Statements
very sorry.
FC.
Remember the in between is, oh, sorry, I missed the penalty.
yeah. But you know what the thing is, right? When I seen that, I thought it was a wind up, right? And I've seen a couple of people do follow on wind ups, which are really good. But I was looking at that going, that's something you'd expect to see on, say, Facebook, right?
Do you know?
And
that's
someone loses their purse in the village the week before Christmas, and it's like, oh my God, I've lost my purse. And then people are going on, yeah, all right, and DM me and PM me, and if there's anything I can do.
104 comments.
I was literally looking at going, I could replace Bruno Fernandes, right, with someone in the local village, right, and I could replace the penalty with the purse being lost a week before Christmas, and people just coming on and giving that sort of, I'm with you, listening to this,
like,
you know what I mean? That's what I thought it was.
It's like do you ever hear like the butterfly effect? If Klopp doesn't moan about them not getting penalties, Solskjaer doesn't come out midweek not giving out about Klopp, they get a penalty in the 90th minute, and then this fella's writing Roald Dahl novels on the bleeding internet because he had to miss the penalty in the last minute.
It's absolutely insane.
Like, it's absolutely, it's unbelievable. And you can imagine, because we know what United were like under Ferguson. They were a gang of they were animals, but in the right way. They were proper winners. You can imagine all them looking at that going, holy Jesus, like, what is going on here? We were laughing about, like, imagine Roy Keane doing all that stuff now for Sky, where the player walks up to the camera and does that. Like, you'd be told to fuck off. You can just superimpose my face onto someone there. I'm not doing this, Joy.
So off the back of Bruno Fernandes being the loser of the week, the winner of the week is obviously Shawnee, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be Emiliano Martinez. I can't for the life of me remember someone's stock rising so much after a big move. Like, he was brilliant for Arsenal in that FA Cup run, and then they sell him and they keep Leno and they sign Ramsdale, who's done. But this fella is genuinely one of the top. I think he's in the top 3 goalkeepers in the league. I think he's probably just behind that. I think he's absolutely brilliant. You can see that mentality he's brought to even Argentina, and he's a shithouse. He's a proper shithouse.
The best version of a shithouse as well.
And he just backs himself 1,000,000%. He's going up telling Ronaldo, you take the penalty because he's going to miss it. You take the penalty because he's going to miss it. And you can tell. And this just goes on the other one. Bruno normally does this hop, skip and a jump. He bleeding sends the thing into the Etihad from the spotlight, you know what I mean? And then he turns around and starts giving a little hip thrust to the Stretford end, like, you know what I mean? So how can you tell me that this fella is not winner of the week? He's an absolute legend. And I tell you what, Ireland never qualified for the World Cup, and I'll be celebrating Argentina for 2 reasons. 1, because of Leo Messi, and 2, because of that fucking hero is in the net.
Yeah, he's so good. And like the video of him right from behind the goal, and literally it's a fella about 10 feet from recording on his phone, and he's just there dancing away, and I was like,
he literally had Bruno Fernandes getting letters off his man for the teacher. That's literally what he had.
He did. I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. But anyway,
he had Bruno Fernandes leaving the WhatsApp group there 100%.
He
had him totally rattled, didn't he?
He left the WhatsApp group and then stuck the thing up on Instagram, and like, come on, man.
I'd say Bruno went home to his gaff, and Martinez is in the bed with his missus. I'd say waving at him.
Yeah, just waving in the window at him.
Yeah.
But no, listen, it was absolutely brilliant. I have to say that. And the way he done it, saving a penalty and dancing, grand, but the way he's going up and he's standing around the penalty spot, and then for Solskjaer to come out and go, I wasn't happy the way people were surrounding the ref. There was more United players around the ref.
It's so funny.
There was more United players around the ref than there was Villa ones, which is unbelievable. And all the keeper was doing was asking for Ronaldo to take
Is he remembering the team he was in? Honestly, this is
He's
just,
very rattled. He's very rattled.
I've got no time for this. And then,
Whisper it, lads, because they are listening and they will get rid of him if it keeps up. And they got the win tonight, so let them run.
Yeah,
last week they were saying, was it mind games that he said Klopp was winning the penalties? Mind games. The guy just got beaten the League Cup, beaten the Champions League, and he just missed a penalty. The guy's rattled, honestly.
You don't need to look too much into it, lads. And it's not even like he's just not a good manager. And it's as simple as that.
It is.
That's all there is to
it. It is, and he's in a position there for me where I think the owners are happy with him, and that's the hardest nut to crack. When the owner, unless none of you're not going to get all the supporters coming out and go out. It's just not going to happen. But with the owners are sticking by him, it's going to be a hard nut to crack in order to get rid of Solskjaer, unless things go wildly wrong over the next while, which they could, but you never know.
Come on, Gav, who have you got?
I don't have any winners or losers this week.
Stop that.
Because Arsenal won. Arsenal won.
No,
so
I didn't.
He couldn't be Arsenal.
If I was to pick losers of the week, Tottenham are the loser of the week for me. Like,
just not London with you, isn't it?
Just I'm not allowed into London. That charge they have on cars, they charge me extra to go in there now at this stage. Spurs were horrendous at the weekend, and I have to say, like, Arsenal were good. Arsenal played well. They looked solid enough. They attacked quite well. But they didn't have to do any more than that because of how bad Spurs... I'm literally looking at Spurs and I'm going, the manager is trying to do something with that group of players that does not suit them one way at all. There's no confidence in them. If you don't fancy yourself against the midfield of Partey sitting deep, along with Xhaka and Odegaard, and you don't think you can play football or outwork them, there's something seriously wrong with you. And he didn't. He tried to play long, and Arsenal loved it. And then you have their main man.
I thought you'd have gone Kent. Yeah, Big Harry.
No, then you have their main man that just doesn't look interested because, it's still in my opinion, he bottled a transfer during the summer to protect his own ego. And instead of looking forward in his career and going, he protected his own ego and his own thing. And he's taking shots from 40 yards out. When Spurs needed to settle down, pass the ball, move it, get some confidence, he's taking the ball and he's shooting from 40 yards. Spurs are most definitely the losers of the week.
Being Harry hindsight there on that one, Gav, like, that's just one of them things where every single party involved in that apparent deal has lost out now, because Kane has lost out, Spurs have lost out, and City have all lost out, and to the end it will only be to the detriment of Spurs' season and probably Nuno's job, which is actually the worst part, because the fella's a dead man walking before he got going.
Yeah, it's just, but even the style of play, like if he came out and tried to attack and use those players in the way they've been used in the past, and try and make them a little bit more solid at the same time, or a little bit more streetwise, if he still was losing games, you'd say, you know what, he's trying to do something with them players and it'll come good. But it's just like, what he's trying to do against what that Spurs side and that squad in particular was built for. It's black and white what he's trying to do. It's absolutely insane what he's trying to do. Like, he has the guy at the base of midfield, Højbjerg, who's a very good player, and he's just bypassing him. And then what he's doing is he's launching the ball up the pitch towards Kane, who's good in the air, Mora, not a chance of winning a lot in the air, and Son, who wouldn't be amazing in the air. He's launching at them three, and then he has his midfielders pushing on, and the ball's going in behind them because they're not winning the header, and then they're being absolutely and utterly exposed, right? But in a defence that is just appalling for me, like appalling. I thought Reguilon started well. I don't rate him. I've been watching him a while now. I don't know what people seeing him. But that's losers of the week. Winners of the week, Brentford, for me. You know, as much as we went on about Liverpool on Sunday night and what they did do and what they didn't do well, to see a team come up and not only play to their strengths, but be clinical while they're doing it. I really not enjoyed it because it was against Liverpool, but I walked away in the game going, do you know what? Fair play to them, because I hammer Norwich. And the reason I hammer Norwich is because Norwich tried to play their way, refused to go away from it, are naive and will go down. Whereas Brentford have come up and play their way, do go away from it, and actually look to expose things in a different way, and done it against Liverpool, and fair play to them. So Brentford for me. So yeah, I didn't pick any, but there's two for you. I'll pick some next week properly. How's that? Seany, anything else before we go?
No, just enjoy the football. Simple as that.
Seany will be live on Saturday evening on the LFC Daytrippers with a rallying call. It'll probably be an audience with Seany, and people will be absolutely running through walls for Liverpool.
Standing on the Walton Break Road on Sunday morning, shouting at
people will be running through walls around the gaff come Sunday morning after Seany's.
Seany's in the pre-match at 7 a.m. He's starting a live stream for it, so he'll just be going straight
along
through.
The canal, running along the canal, just shouting fucking
But
stuff.
it's GoPro.
And people going absolutely mental. Conroy, anything else before we go?
No, not for me.
Good?
I think we covered everything.
Good. And Jamie, anything else before we go?
No, tip of the hat to you though for managing the times and the agenda way better than what I would. It'd be 11:45 and we'd just be getting to winners or losers. So fair play to you, mate.
Look, I didn't get to do the air horn, which I was a bit disgusted by because you were very good at the time. But
just do it now. Just do it now
I'm not doing it now. I like the element of surprise. But I have been in contact with a couple of people about doing some sound clips for us. So instead of having air horns, we'll just have people randomly shouting stuff at us when the things end. And the rule will be, when that noise goes off, we have to stop talking about what we're talking about and move on. So we'll be getting 2 minute warnings.
Are you taking the piss? No, that's a real thing.
No, that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
We're
gonna have 2 minute warnings, and then like after the 2 minutes, somebody a recording is gonna come on with someone just shouting like move on or whatever it might be. Or we're working on it, and we're trying to make it as fun as we can, just to stop us running into Thursday on this show, to be prepared, because it actually is that good a show. We could just keep going and going and going, but we have to try to limit ourselves because we have to do loads of work after this before we go to bed. Well, I have. Last thing before I go though, Sienna Steps, they're over 100 grand. They've 18,000 left to go. The last couple of weeks has been unbelievable with the amount of fundraising that's gone on. I know there's so many organisations that have been involved. It's been unbelievable. There's 18,000 left, and I know a lot of people will look at that and go, the 18,000, they'll get that. They should won't they get that? No, just keep committing to sharing it, donating, sharing the link, whatever it might be, sharing it around your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram, amongst friends, wherever it might be. And look, she's going away in about a month, and she's going away for 5 or 6 weeks. Everything she goes away to has to be paid for, and every single bit of treatment when she comes back has to be paid for. They've paid for the treatment, and that's only half the money covers the treatment. You know what I mean? So it's the other half is actually for staying over there, living in America for 5 weeks and paying for rental accommodation and whatever it might be, and getting her to and from facilities, and then of course coming back to Dublin and being looked after. And obviously the goal is to get this done in November and have her going to school the following September, where she can, as we've always said, walking into school with the rest of her friends, as anybody else should do. So make sure you please go and donate to that. When the next international break comes, we're going to do some sort of show where we're going to be on for a number of hours, having loads of fun, talking about whatever we feel like, having whoever wants to come on can come on, having a bit of crack. And literally we're going to have people on screen and a link where you just go and donate. So we're going to try to do that in the next international break. Andy and his big chat might have to be moved aside for that, unfortunately. Just don't tell Andy, I haven't told him. But that has been the midweek fix. Thanks a million to Jamie, thanks a million to Conroy, thanks a million to Seany. As I said, if you need fucking drumming up for this game, DM Seany in some way, and he'll do a voice note, 60 seconds, and he'll be absolutely punching the head off things come Sunday or about 2
I'm just going to be doing outcries on OnlyFans. It's going to be €20 a month. So if you feel like you need to get,
I pay.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for the month. It's a 24-hour subscription. So you get it at like 6 o'clock. You get it at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. It ends at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon.
And if you want to tip me, I might even do it in me jocks. You never know.
All right. He might even show you more of that tree behind him. Someone says you had your Christmas tree up early this year, but there's history to that tree. I think Seany said if we get Sienna to 120 grand, he'd give that tree away. Did you say that,
Yeah,
Sean?
I'm like Moses looking into the burning bush there with that thing. I can't get rid of it.
I'm waiting for the police to turn up and go, listen, can we have a whiff of that and actually see what that fucking is you're growing? But we've established that's my Kia and it's plastic, haven't we?
Yeah, look, well, I hope it is because I haven't watered it in about 2 years. It's still going.
Right, okay. People listen to this download are going, what the fuck are they talking about? Shawnee has a big tree in the sitting room, basically. But listen, that's it, definitely. That's been the midweek fix. Tomorrow is Carnage. Friday is Sports Unplugged. Day off on Saturday, pre and post match Sunday, along with the Fatback 4. We have a women's show coming out tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Make sure you check that out. Chris has his monthly show out. He has Neil Atkinson, Philippa Smallwood, and Emma Sanders.
Is it Emma Sanders?
Yeah, so they're out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It's a pre-recorded show, so there's loads and loads and loads going on. And make sure you go and check them out. All right, good luck.